Hello, my name is Jamie Bechtold, and welcome to my new podcast. We are trying to be one of the other 300 million people trying to do this. So basically, we've been working on this for a long time, probably for the last year of physically just trying to get set up and ready to roll. I've got Jackson Coulter John here with me. He has actually been the driving force behind getting me to sit down behind this microphone. And I finally decided to get on board today as he caught me walking through the hallway. That's how bad this has been. So we're gonna get more into this. We're gonna carry on this on a weekly basis on current topics of real estate. We're seeing a lot of good and bad, ups and downs with real estate, and so we kind of want to be here to not just sell a home, but to be an informative company for you to be able to come to, take a look at the current issues with the market, knowing whether it's a good time or not to purchase a house, knowing what your closing costs are going to be when you decide to purchase a house, knowing what questions to ask, what to look for when buying the property. We want to be the company that will talk you out of purchasing a home just as much as we'll show you a home. A lot of real estate professionals are going to want to make that sale. We all do, but at the end of the day, we want to look at this as we're buying it for ourselves, and we just want you to make a good, informed decision.
Right.
So in saying all of that, I'm going to direct this over to Jackson Coulter John, my director of marketing. And he's done a wonderful job at getting this up and running. So now I've got to let him be the boss and get me in here to keep this up to date.
Yeah,
so.
This is a nice change of pace, being the boss of
isn't it?
Of everything. Yeah, the weight of the world on my shoulders. But yeah, what Jamie said is correct. The whole reason we wanted to start this podcast in the first place was to get people, first-time home buyers, in help them through the complex and crazy journey that is home buying and home selling. Especially right now, there are so many different compliance things, different changes with NAR, everything like that. And so we thought now is the perfect time to get this podcast going and kind of creating, a very educational space for everyone. So this is, like I said, this is the first episode. So I think it's going to be a very brief overview, or hopefully brief overview of kind of the steps of buying and the steps of selling. And I think from my perspective, it will be really interesting because I started here 9 months ago. And while I learned a good amount from Jamie and from other agents and from our team, I really still don't know the full picture when it comes to like the monster, the beast that is home buying and selling. And so I figure me being here, getting this education, getting this crash course on what it takes, the things to look out for, the things to not get tripped up about is highly crucial. And I think that will help you guys as well to join that experience with me and get all that education. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. I think we were talking long enough.
And Jackson, I do want to go ahead and just elaborate on your background. So this is brand new to you. And so again, we've all been doing a lot of learning, and especially like with the AI coming out.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of things that since you've received your education that are changing on the fly.
Yeah.
But go ahead and just go over your background real quick and why you're here.
Yeah, totally. So I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin with a bachelor degree in advertising. And ever since then, kind of just went back to the Woodlands. That's where I grew up. And then was looking around for jobs. And Jamie found me in the trash heap that is the post-grad world. And then the rest is history. We all started working together, and the first thing Jamie talked about when we sat down for this interview was getting a podcast going, making sure people know and understand what, home buying and selling is all about. And as someone, like I said, from my perspective, is perfect for that.
Wonderful. Yeah, it is, and it's been a learning curve for as far as me. I'm trying to wear all hats, right. And so with this hire, I have decided with Jackson that I needed to go as a real estate professional, and what all real estate professionals should do is get the right people in the right place for the right job. Nobody's perfect at all jobs they do, and I know that, and as I say, I need to get Jackson in there and let Jackson do Jackson's thing.
Right.
So, going into that, what we have done recently and what Jackson has ramped up for my company would be a beautiful, beautiful website. I would put it right up there with anything I've seen in the Houston area. The items that we have going into that website are very exciting to me. And right now, Jackson's currently working on the website as far as adding in what we have right now. You've got going into it. You just started up Apple.
Yep.
So
the app.
We've got an Apple app, which took a long time to get up and running. We're doing things on the Apple app and the website that are going to be streamlined and more a one-stop shop.
Right. We want everything to kind of be in one space for both our team, like internally for our agents, so they don't have to go anywhere to find the stuff for their clients, and then also for our clients for their needs, so they can go to our website and get everything they need because we're going to help them out in every way we can, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then to reiterate kind of what you just said and to add on to that would be the fact that you're currently adding on a closing document that's going to be implemented into both the app and the website. Mm-hmm. On that closing doc, it's going to be a closing cost estimator. So when you get in there and you're looking at properties on our website, which is beautiful, you can do surrounding areas, you can do polygons around those, you can create your own search criteria. It's going to notify you. You can make notes to us through the website for easier search. Right. We also, the thing I really like was what you just added on was the new build communities.
Yes.
So it's really hard to find a good one-stop shop to be able to look and find those new build communities. Yeah. You'll find all the resales, but you don't know to look at new houses.
Right.
So now when will that be up and running? We're close, right?
Yeah, I mean, agents already have their accounts and their landing pages set up, but when it comes to getting it on the website, probably by beginning of next week. So,
okay, and then that will also be on the Apple app?
Yes.
Okay, so basically it'll be a search. You can search new properties. It's going to show you all new communities in the area, what builders are in there, what they currently have as inventory, what they currently have coming. To where before it's just non-existent. Yeah. It's almost impossible to find these things. So it's going to be a one-stop shop for that. And also, just to elaborate, we also talked about the closing cost estimator. So
yep, when you closing cost estimator and floodplain
and floodplain.
Yep, so getting all those sorted out.
Yeah, but I would say we get weekly phone calls, people looking at a specific property. And they are, hey, we need to know if this house flooded. We've had huge flood issues in the Houston area, and so it's a great question. And so now you'll be able to get right on our website. You'll be able to look right on there and tell whether that specific house that you're looking at or that you've got interested in is in a major flood zone, if it's in a 100, 500, or just doesn't have a flood zone attached to it.
Right. Yeah, having those things, and I'm sure in this episode or in later episodes, we'll talk about horror stories of people that almost get tricked into getting these houses, not realizing that it's on, a terrible floodplain. And then, they are stuck in all this financial and, mental turmoil because of it. So that's our whole job for, the app, for the website, for the podcast, for everything, is to make it educational, get people to know what they're doing when they're buying and selling, instead of just trying to, there's so many people in this industry that, like in real estate, that take advantage of the clients. Wouldn't you say so, Jamie?
100%. And, I think to add that, I just keep talking about the one-stop shop.
Right.
One-stop shop for everything. You get on the app, you get on the website. Everything is linked together. As I say, if you're looking at properties, you've got notes on those properties. Those notes are, you can get a hold of us and say, hey, we just made these notes. We want to look at this. We want to look at that. So we can communicate directly through that. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
Other really good news that we wanted to hit on today, as far as the first webcast, would be the mortgage company.
Yes.
So
yes.
We have just acquired, we now own a company called JBG Financial.
Where did you come up with that name, Jimmy? That's
no
super
idea.
original.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? But anyway, we have been so blessed that this was proposed to me by an outside pot of money, virtually.
Right.
And it's pretty much a beta program that was rolled out that we jumped on board with. We have virtually swapped. Anybody that has come in with a mortgage has turned over and went with us. Like I can tell you, there's very few people that actually kept their own mortgage company after they saw our rates and our processes. So super excited about that. There's not a lot of middlemen with our company. So virtually not a lot of people to get paid. And that's virtually why the interest rates are lower, is because there's not a lot of people in that chain to get paid. And the rates are going to be generally a quarter to a half less than the best you're going to find out there. Yeah. So that's been what we've seen so far. Right. Hopefully we can keep that good thing rolling, and we can keep those rates where they're at right now. Also offering the free refinances. Mm-hmm. So you get a loan with us and you see the rates drop in 6 months or a year down the road, there's going to be a free refi on that. Yeah. So, buy that house now, get the best rate you possibly can, and then later down the road, we'll refinance you at no charge. Yeah. So that's been a complete blessing to us. And then the fact that you've implemented the website and the Apple app where they can actually apply online, they can get financing questions online. It is such a good asset, and I'd say I appreciate everything you've done in getting this together and rolling, and the ideas that you've come up with. But anyway, we'll leave it there with financing, because we're going to have entire podcasts on that.
Yes, definitely. I think Cody, bringing him on would be over just a Zoom call.
And Cody's my loan officer. Yes. So Cody, he'll be able to break down kind of what's going on in the market. A lot of this is just to kind of tell you what our ideas are on this. And if you guys are watching this out there and you come up with any ideas that you would like, or any things you would like to see answered, bring those to us. We would love to be able to hit on that, elaborate more on that, and help you make the right decision going forward. Cody would be that's a great idea.
That'd be great.
Any other things that we're looking at for this year that are going to be kind of new? I know we're going into some AI. Yeah. Some AI issues. We're looking at the use of AI versus Google. Yeah. Google's not looking so good anymore. Yeah. So, and neither is my telephone. So it's just nonstop all day long, every single day.
Let that be a good indicator, though, of the hard worker and, for lack of a better word, success that the Jamie Bechtold group is getting. Jamie's a busy guy. He's, incredibly hardworking. Just comes with the job, as a real estate
7 days a week. It's 7 days a week. And we get a lot of which another thing we're going to have is recruiting. We're going to have recruiting going on, and there'll be some recruiting podcasts. Yeah. And we're always looking for good people. We're always looking for motivated people that will bring their cell phones to the podcast room, and that phone's ringing throughout. We're going to be just fine with that. Yep. But it's a 7 day a week job, and it's putting the phone is always in your hand. That's going to be another thing we're going to be. We've got so much to go and so many little things to hit on. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that you've got this up and running. Yeah. And again, this is never going to stop. Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's important, you can take it.
It is, but you know what? I'll take it here in a few minutes.
Okay. Okay.
But
yeah, I mean, I think with everything, it's super exciting. That's one of the main reasons, I took on this job in the first place was because, Jamie is a very ambitious person that can be for a blessing and a curse sometimes, of just wanting to always set the bar and raise it as high as possible. Which it's super inspiring, but it's a very motivating to, get to work and do all these great, crazy and fun and new cutting edge things. Like, how can we be better than we are yesterday? That's like, I feel like your whole ethos. And
how do we feel about communication?
Oh yeah. What's the three best things?
Communicate, and then communicate
Yeah.
again.
Honorable mention is communication.
100%.
Yeah.
And so,
for sure.
But anyway, we're going to continue this. We're going to continue moving forward with this. We've got some great ideas. We want to be the resource, and we've said this 1,000 times to where it's boring at this point. But we want to be the resource for a one-stop shop in real estate. We want to be able to honestly answer those questions. Whether it talks you out of buying that house or not, so be it.
Yeah.
We want to make you informed to make great decisions in your purchase. We want to help you save the money when you make your purchase. And that's really what we're going to be considering. We're going to be focusing on that and getting the right people in at this table to be able to answer the questions you might have. So I would say going forward, any questions anybody has, again, like we've said earlier, definitely get a hold of Jackson. And Jackson, your information will be where?
We can put it on the website. We can also just tag my email right now. I bet I can put it in a comment section or anything like that on wherever this is going to be blasted out to. It would just be Jackson at JamieBechtold.com.
And I would definitely encourage anyone that's watching, please give us your ideas, give us your feedback, good, negative, doesn't matter. We love it.
Yeah. Even if you guys I don't know, maybe you recently bought a house or you're in that area and you just need guidance and you're like, I don't know what to even start from. Shoot me an email. And I mean, if you're in the Woodlands area, you're more than welcome to come on and we can talk about it, in this space. I feel like that could be kind of a fun little thing that we could do, and we're going to try to help you out the best way we can.
Yeah.
So going into kind of the whole purpose of this podcast of educating, obviously you need to have someone reputable in order to educate people on real estate, right? So Jamie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, about how long you've been doing this, what got you into this in the first place?
Yeah. So basically, I was a 20-year, I was in a 20-year career prior to this. Yeah. Had nothing to do with real estate. It was actually in the railroad industry, and very time consuming. It was time for me to look at a move, and at that point, I knew that to keep my retirement from that company, I had to go into a position or a career that was not going to be a W-2 career. Right. It would have affected my retirement. And so basically, I had always been interested in real estate. I know the inner workings of properties, of houses, of air conditioning, heating, electrical. Yeah. And so basically, it just it made me kind of have a desire to learn real estate. And so I got into it, very scared my first year, didn't know what I had done. And finally into year 2, I realized that it was the right thing for me. We went through the ropes of real estate, learning it from the ground up. And within the first year, I made the Rising Star Award with RE/MAX. Wow. On year 2 and 3, I made the top 500 in the state of Texas with RE/MAX in my second year of real estate. And again, I went all the way through to year number 8 of holding the top 20 mark. I was in number, I think, 18 when we left RE/MAX, number 18 in the United States as a single agent by volume. So we decided to leave. We went under another umbrella, and we've pretty much run our own brokerage at this point. We've got the EXP umbrella behind us, and we'll have whole episodes on that.
What's a brokerage? Why do I have to talk? Why do you have an EXP logo and your own logo? We'll get into that, folks.
Absolutely. And then, why did we make that move?
Yeah.
Why did we decide to make that move from well-known RE/MAX to up and coming EXP.
Yeah, scary cloud brokerage.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And so I can tell you that we haven't looked back. It's been the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
We're going to go over. We're going to have complete podcasts on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm glad I made you introduce yourself, because I feel like there was a lot of stuff that I didn't even know that you told me, and you maybe have told me, but I was just off in space when you mentioned it. But
well, one of these days I'll take you to the storage unit and I'll show you boxes and boxes and boxes of trophies I've got over the last 10 years.
Yeah. Maybe we should lay them out one episode.
We should do that.
Have them all over, so they know. People know.
And with our current, we're going to elaborate on that so greatly.
Yep.
But one of the reasons that we had left before you got here, we had actually left the Remax umbrella to go to the XP umbrella because I didn't care about trophies anymore.
Right.
And the way that we receive income from this brokerage is income versus trophies.
Right. That's the trophy everybody wants.
So,
is just the money to show
the
for
income. I'd rather take a vacation than see a trophy sitting on my desk that nobody cares about.
Right.
So
but
that's where we've come from.
Yeah.
And as I say, I wouldn't look back in what I do today. I would just tell you that it's never leaving a corporation thinking you're going to have fewer hours, that you're going to have a better life. That might have been inaccurate.
Yeah.
To say the least. It is so much more work than I ever thought it would be, and so much more communication that you have to provide that I really didn't have that communication aspect in my last career.
And I think that's good to hear too, because I think there's a lot of real estate people coming in, especially like after COVID, post-COVID, that just think that real estate is the answer and it's going to give you all the money. And it can be super great, but you can't look at it through rose-tinted glasses. I feel like I've seen time and time again, even some of my own friends that, want to do real estate, and then they do it for a year or two or even a few months, and they're like, this is kind of difficult. I'm working a lot more than I ever thought I would be. Like, where's my get rich quick scheme that I was promised?
70 hours a week.
Yeah.
I would say that I probably would tell you 70 hours a week is probably the number that you're going to put in to really succeed.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be on the phone all the time. I mean, even when I try to take you in the car on a ride with me, I don't even get to talk to you. I mean,
that was a funny. Yeah, like what was that? A week ago. Yeah, we were driving back.
We were in the car for what? How long? An hour?
Yeah, like an hour, and that phone just never stopped. It's a very it's a very tedious task or job to do. Career, very challenging, but it's rewarding in its own ways. We're talking about it like it's the worst thing ever, but
you like it. If you like it, it's wonderful.
Yep.
If you didn't, find another career.
Exactly.
If you don't want to communicate, if you don't want to be available, find another career.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
Yeah. Okay, so just going in, because we might be over time a little bit in like 10 minutes, but kind of going forward into kind of, people are looking at this podcast not knowing anything of what we just said, right? Mm-hmm. Like a first-time home buyer, me, myself included, like, having no idea what's going on. Like, let's talk about the basics. Like, let's get to the very, the steps. And so when I was thinking about that, and I was thinking like, oh, how am I going to how are we going to start this first episode off and like get it on the right foot? I was like, well, why don't we do a brief, broad overview of everything?
Let me give you the best step you could ever do that nobody ever does.
Okay.
The best step that you could ever do as a first-time home buyer is set up an appointment with us, come into our conference room, sit down at the table, let's go through your wants, your likes, your dislikes. For example, I'll give this one example, I'll move on. But one example would be people come in, they look at a house that's 30, 40 years old, and they don't think about what the utility costs are going to be.
Yeah.
And so we can break down the differences of whether you can purchase a house that's $100,000 more, that's new, versus that older house, and you're going to be making the same amount of payments every single month because you're going to be paying more utilities on the older house versus all of the energy efficiency that's been done to the new house.
Totally.
So that's what we need to. If I had my wants, we would start off that way every single time.
Yeah.
We would start off at the conference table. We would go through all of the wants, the dislikes, the everything that we just said, and we would have a good formula to be able to move forward with that person.
Create the game plan and then go from there.
100%.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing you can ever do is come in not knowing what you can afford, never of talking to financing, which financing is right here with us. So we don't even do a hard credit pull. So if you're looking for a new property and you don't know what you can afford, you don't want to get a ding on your credit score. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so basically, we do only soft pulls to get you started.
Right.
And that's in any avenue. I don't care if you're buying a $2 million property.
Right.
We're still doing soft pulls.
Yeah.
Now, if it gets to a point that we go under contract and we need to go ahead and get that 100% underwritten,
Right.
then it's going to go to hard pull at that time.
Yeah.
But at that time, it's time for the hard pull.
Yeah.
But up front, to get started, sitting in our conference room, we're going to find out everything you need to find out. And we're not going to do any hard pulls. It's not going to affect your credit score. It's not going to hurt you in any way.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's where I would start, Jackson.
Yeah, that's great, Jamie. Like, I think that's a really great way to start. Unfortunately, though, that's not how ChatGPT says you should start it.
Yeah. What's ChatGPT? What's
so
Chat saying?
when I asked it
Mm-hmm.
and I said, hey, well, give me some buying steps, right? And don't get me wrong, AI I think is pretty good, and we're making jokes here, but I was like, give me like all the steps. And the first step, they say, is to get pre-approved for a mortgage.
Okay.
Is that the first one? Would you say?
so-
If you besides meeting with everybody, meeting with the team.
If you do it correctly, if you do it by the book, you're going to have a pre-approval. You're also going to have the issue of trying to look at a property that you don't have a pre-approval on, and you're going to have 90% of agents that won't even show you until you have the pre-approval. Now, we do it different here. You know that.
Right.
We talk about it all the time.
Yep.
But we actually want to get to know you as a person. We want to be able to be there for you for the long haul. And I don't care if you can't get a pre-approval right now. I want to be your person going forward. I want to be here for you, for your family, for everyone else. So I could care less about your pre-approval. And I do know that it's a preferred method because it is a waste of time for some people, some agents, that pre-approval never came in. They never could get the pre-approval. They look at 100 properties first. What we're going to ask is we're going to say, we want to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to go through the process. We want to get to know you. We want to know what your wants are, what your likes. And we're going to start listening to what you're saying, and we're going to tell you whether or not you're in the position to move forward or not.
Yeah.
And if we think you are, we're at the point that we know that you're going to be making an offer on a property, we're going to tell you to go ahead and get that pre-approval because we're going to need that to submit with the offer anyway.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a time that's going to come, but at the beginning, when we first meet you, we don't care anything about that.
Right.
Let's get to know each other and let's see if we're a good fit, and let's go from there.
And I feel like there's a lot of brokerages, teams that if you were to go in and be like, I really have no plan, they would laugh at you in the face and kick you out of the door, right?
Yeah.
And so like they're like, I don't have time to deal with all this, like with all this like meandering, trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, no,
I talk to agents every day, Jackson, and I talk to agents that specifically tell me once a week, I will not work with somebody that doesn't have a pre-approval. I'm not going to talk to them. And I'm going to tell you, I think they're wrong. And I think that everybody needs that guidance. And I think that if you give enough guidance out, it's all going to come back to us anyway at the end of the day. And so basically, we just need to be there for everybody, for our clients, be there as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And again, that's why that phone rings every 3 seconds all day long.
Yeah. Yep. So then they say number 2 and 3, it's figure out your budget and then find a real estate agent. So obviously that kind of coincides with everything.
Yeah.
Then the house hunting starts, right? That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then you find the dream house that you want. And like, notice how when I went from, step 4 to step 5, or sorry, step 3 to step 4, no, step 4 to step 5 of house hunting to then now making an offer. That was, a 1 second transition, but
And that's
I
the
imagine
biggest trend. That's the biggest
it's
part of it.
I imagine it's a lot longer than
Yeah.
just let's start house hunting, and then we'll just make an offer, and then but you're just getting started at that point.
You are,
right?
and you're going to look at several properties before you make up your decision on what's right for you. There's could be things wrong with that property. We're going to talk about inspections and different types of inspections you should do in the Houston area that you may not do in the rest of the country.
Right. Yeah, because it says here, make it an offer and then schedule an inspection.
For sure. So, people coming from other parts of the country, they're going to think that, hey, we need radon tests. Like, we don't ever do a radon test in Texas.
What's a radon test?
So radon's a gas that it's a gas that comes out of the ground that can affect your family. I'm not sure of all the medical issues from it.
It's not good.
It's not good. It's not
Right.
good. So we don't worry about those. We don't do those here. I've never had one done since I've been in real estate.
Yeah.
But one thing that we do have that other states don't is bad termites. So some of I would say probably 40% of our properties had termites in one. They're being treated for termites. So there's just different things that we lead. There's so many important parts of making an offer at that point. So I would say that your ChatGPT is accurate. The first part, I would say that we would be moving further back in the line than what ChatGPT has.
Right. Yeah, and then it talks about after you schedule an inspection, you get an appraisal. Can you just briefly explain what an appraisal is?
Okay, I can. And after you do the inspection, again, you're not responsible. This sounds overwhelming. We are the ones, us along with Title Escrow, are the ones that are doing all of this footwork for you. So you're not there on your own. You're not scheduling this. You're not doing anything. We're taking care of that for you. The appraisal is needed anytime that you're going to get a home loan. So anytime you get a home loan, you must have an appraisal or the bank will not finance you, period. We have to make sure that you fall within the realm of what that house is worth on your loan.
Yeah.
If it's a cash deal, the appraisal is informative. It's not required.
Okay.
So it's only required on a loan, on obtaining a loan.
Okay.
So what was your question in relation to the appraisal as far as getting the appraisal?
Well, just like what it means. Like, what is an appraisal?
So an appraisal is getting a value for your property. Let's just say you've got tax assessments on houses. And a lot of times we'll get the misconception of people calling in saying, hey, tax assessment shows that it's $400,000. So what I call that as a drive-by appraisal or a drive-by assessment. It's somebody looking from overhead. With GPS or looking with Google or looking at they drive by the front of the house and they deem that your house is worth this much money.
Kind of fraudulent.
It's a way for them to get their tax money. And there's no other way because the owner of the property is not going to let them come in and do a physical appraisal and say, what's this house worth? Yeah. So the appraisal itself, though, is going to give you an actual value of what that property is worth,
regardless of what the sellers,
regardless of what the sellers are pricing it for, regardless of what the county shows that the tax assessment is. An appraisal is going to show you. It's going to be somebody from your bank, from your lender, that's going to come out. They're going to look at that entire house inside and out. They're going to measure that house, and then they're going to tell you what the price per square foot is for that house, which gives you a value for that house.
So it gives the buyer kind of like a leg to stand on when the seller's like, this is the price. I know the price of my home. And it's like, well.
It does. However, you're usually 99% of the time under contract by the time that appraisal comes through. So not so much because at the end of the day, it's not going to let you're not going to have to move forward with that purchase if that house doesn't appraise at what you offered the money for. Okay. So if the agent lists the property at $400,000, the appraisal comes back at $375,000. Your lender is going to say that house is worth $375,000. It's not worth $400,000. Right. So at that point, it's a protection. It's a way for you to either get out of the contract or negotiate another price with that seller.
Has there ever been a situation, at least in your career or ones you've heard about, of, a seller putting it at like, $500,000 and then the appraisal coming back and it's like $700,000 and then it's like, oh, we're gonna pretend we didn't see that?
No, absolutely. And I would say that happens frequently.
Really?
We've had a lot of offers where I have deemed value to be way over what the actual price of the property was. Mm-hmm. And my clients had went in. We had negotiated I call a lowball offer. We initiated that offer. We had that offer accepted, And then my client ended up coming out $225,000 in equity on the property immediately.
That's crazy.
So talk about beating the stock market. I mean, there's no
Right.
better investment than that.
Yeah.
So, and again, real estate is a wonderful investment.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at real estate 5 year over 5 year over 5 year, I've not seen losses. I've seen gains every single time. I've seen gains that the stock market can't come close to.
Yeah.
So, and we'll have whole episodes on that.
Yeah. I just kind of wanted to get an idea, and then I
Yeah.
was just thinking in my head because, you know, selfishly, I was like, well, I kind of want to know what an appraisal is to begin with. Because I had an idea, but I was like, let's,
Yeah.
you know, this is great, actually, this podcast, because I can like hide behind the audience wanting to know instead of just my ignorance.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
can, you know, so you don't think that I'm like I don't know anything. I can just be like, I think the audience
I've already
wants to
thought
know.
that, Jackson, but,
Yeah,
you're,
of course.
but you're covering it up well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, then they say like finalize your mortgage is the next step, and then get homeowners insurance is the 9th, and then final walkthrough, and then close the house.
Correct.
That's just
And
a kind of brief.
That's all very, very accurate.
Yeah.
And again, in everything there, when you're looking at that, you've not purchased before.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at the 9 steps that you just showed. It sounds overwhelming. And you don't know what a lot of that even means. So what we do, we set you down at that table that I said I would do every single time if we
Yes,
could.
the magic table.
We give you all that information, but not only do we do that, we walk you through every single aspect all the way to the end. So if you go to an attorney for an issue that you're fighting for, that attorney's going to take everything off your plate, and they're gonna make sure that you've got the right ammo, the right everything going forward, that you're supposed to be stress free because they're taking that off you.
Yeah.
We're doing nothing different than that. And so when it comes to real estate, from beginning to end, from insurance to paying your taxes, to showing how you to deduct your homestead exemptions and what exemptions you can get on different properties, we're going to walk through all of that with you to where there is nothing for you to worry about when we cut you loose at the end of the day.
Well, that's good to know. And you know, I think as a person that hasn't owned a home yet, but is steadily reaching that point in my life, you know, now that I'll be getting married soon, and you know, going through that chapter, like that's good to kind of hear and know. But like,
it'll be wonderful too, Jackson, once you make that move, because I would love to be able to see that pop-up trailer removed from our parking lot.
yeah, the tent city that I built in our parking lot.
We need to get you with a house.
Yeah. I mean, I've been trying to cover my showers well by just sitting in the bathroom, but you know, and just kind of taking the sink to take care of everything. But I think it's starting to the jig is going to be up soon.
It is. And you know, one thing that I do have to be careful with this podcast is you with that hair, that beautiful hair up on top.
It's crazy.
It's that beautiful hair, and you know, I'm just going to have to tell the girls that.
Oh my goodness.
The girls that you are getting married in July.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
wow.
By the time everybody sees this podcast, it's going to be too late.
Yep. You know, I should do this. I should have you at this podcast more often, because I feel like, you know, with these cameras, you're a lot nicer to me than.
Yeah. I can't wait till you turn them off.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Maybe we just keep this going. No, but we'll be done really quick. There's just a few more things.
Yeah.
So obviously I did the same thing for sellers, but I think that'll be something I think we tackle the buyer journey throughout these next few episodes with, you know, I'll bring in other agents to talk about it, other, you know, Cody and like the lending officers and things like that. And then we'll dive into selling and kind of what it means. Like, you bought your first home, now let's sell it. You know, let's fast forward a few years down the line. Then we can talk about those steps later. But
now, Jackson, if we have someone that comes in to the podcast through your email and they've got several questions, they'd like to be featured on this, we can feature them through streaming, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can zoom them in if they're far away, or if they're right at here and don't want to just get up and sit in this cold room. Then they're more than welcome to go on Zoom and or virtually chat that way.
Okay.
So, or like over a call.
Okay, great.
Yeah. One last thing. So I kind of want to do this thing. I'm playing with it. You know, the best part about the first episode of a podcast is it can go in any direction. So, you know, we can talk about this, but then depending on how the people go, we can maybe adapt into something a bit more, you know, or just try different. We can try out a bunch of different stuff. So one thing I wanted to try before we close this out here is
to get one follower from this podcast.
to get one follower, if one person,
Let's
even
just
if it's
get
just
one
me.
follower.
Yeah,
Let's get one follower.
I think my mom would probably follow.
Okay, good. Let's get your mom.
She'd probably be listening to
Perfect.
this.
Let's get your mom.
Yep. So we're good there. We've reached the goal. Maybe if we can reach for 2,
Okay.
fingers crossed. I'm not holding out hope
Okay.
though. But so I went on Reddit. Do you go on Reddit,
No,
Jamie?
I don't.
Okay. But you know, one thing I love about Reddit is that it's got so many different groups of people that talk about all their problems in life and all the things about it, depending on that group that they're in. So there's one group called Realtors. It's called r/Realtors. That's a group for just people that are interested in real estate and being a real estate agent. And they talk about a lot of horror stories and just a lot of like asking for advice. And so I thought, you know what, maybe I should read one to you, and then you can go from there to tell me what you would do, or kind of your advice.
Okay, ask that question.
Okay, so I'm just gonna read the whole post to you, and then we'll hear what you have to say. So, okay? This is a good one. I think you'll enjoy this one. This was definitely not covered in real estate training moment. So let me just say what he said. I once showed a house with a basement apartment. It was pitch black, but the door was unlocked. So we walked in and flipped on the lights. There was a person just sitting in a chair in the middle of the room, dead silent until the lights came on. They jumped up, screamed at them to turn the lights back off, and then they ran over to shut them off. In that split second, we saw satanic posters on the wall, long hair half covering their face, vampire fang dental implants, forehead tattoo that gave off serious Charles Manson vibes. So I say this, I'll definitely have to probably bleep out the S word.
You have to bleep out my answer probably.
Okay. The client just froze. I didn't really know what to do, so we awkwardly looked around the basement in the dark for a couple of minutes and left. She cried in the car afterwards. Dang, that's sad. Needless to say, no offer was made. Still half convinced we were on a hidden camera prank show. What about you? Ever had a showing or client moment that made you think, yeah, this job is wild? So first, let's unpack that,
Oh, that's easy. That's not
crazy.
That's not gonna happen in Texas because
we
do have concealed carry here.
Yep.
So yeah,
man.
that probably wouldn't go down.
I wonder where this happened. So the user was Launch Your Farm, and he has a few. He posts frequently on this subreddit. But
what I can say is that that might be the reason that we don't have basements in Texas.
Yeah,
we don't have to worry about a dark basement.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a mess.
I think if I was in that situation, I would probably run away. I'd be terrified. That's a terrifying situation.
So I would say the worst thing that's happened to me would have been going into a wholesale property with
what's a wholesale property?
So a buyer came in wanting to purchase a property at a low dollar amount.
Okay.
And then they do a remodel, a rehab on it, and then they resell it for money.
Okay.
So kind of a flipper.
Yeah.
And so basically what happened, we went in, it was just listed, went into the property as is. And as I was in the dining room, realized that the back window was broke out of the back, the whole, it was a picture window.
Okay.
And the whole picture window was broke out right where the kitchen table would have been. And there was blood all over the floor between the back door and the dining room. And so come to find out, there was once we pulled the seller's disclosures and all that, there was a death in the house. Doesn't say when, but basically we found out it was a murder inside the house.
And they never cleaned it up or anything?
They didn't get the blood cleaned up.
Oh,
so it really blew my mind because you would think that they come in and they clean everything up, they would do whatever. So
or the crime scene, right?
So I think that what had happened, I think that they probably listed before it was ready to go. And they just probably a newer agent and probably just didn't have their ducks in a row. But we left plenty of feedback on that one, and we were. Thing is, my client was still interested in the property.
Really,
we didn't sell it, but it didn't turn them away for sure.
That is funny.
Yeah,
and this was in Texas.
This was in Houston, North Houston.
How many years ago?
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Yeah,
wow.
I was newer as an
crazy.
agent.
I couldn't imagine that. That's
that was the craziest thing I've seen.
Even when we go to our luxury listings, which we've been there countless times, taking photos, making media for it, And it's like, if it's ever just me in the house, I'm always like a little creeped out. So like just being alone in this huge house, any house really. I'll be there taking photos of it, doing like Matterports, like the big 360 photos, and I'll still be like, what if there's someone here like watching me? I'm always worried about that.
You know how we feel then. Every time we come by your office, we feel creeped out.
Oh yeah. Great. See, that was a slice of what he says, guys. Whenever the cameras are off, so you got to see it.
Yeah.
I wasn't just lying.
So basically, I would tell you the second thing that I'd probably had happen that was not good was went into a new build community. Actually, this was in North Conroe, in between Willis and Conroe.
Okay.
This was about 5 years ago. Go into the new build community, brand new house. The builder wanted us to list the property for them. We get inside the house, team, me and myself and 2 others, and we're walking through the dining room. We see a broke out window yet again.
Oh my goodness.
And no blood this time.
Oh, good.
But
step in the right direction.
The window was broken, and there was some hair, like it looked like animal hair, just sporadically through the dining room and living room.
Okay.
And so couldn't figure out what it was. Well, I go back outside. I'm taking a phone call as my phone rings off the hook. I'm standing out on the front sidewalk, and the 2 girls that were with me came running past me, screaming. And that was like, what's going on? And they said, we're itching. We've got fleas all over us. So I'm just like, what are they? They're joking with me, whatever.
Yeah, right.
At the end of the day, as soon as they said that, I looked down at my legs. I was completely covered. It was the worst thing, and they were following us. We tried to get in the car. There was fleas all in the car. So what had happened was, it looked like maybe a deer or something had got in the house, probably got back out, but
through the window.
But the deer had fleas, and it dropped all the fleas. So we literally, telling on myself now, went to Walmart, which was the closest place we could find.
Yeah.
We were running down the flea aisle, throwing powder on us in the hallway at Walmart. It was horrible.
Oh,
so
man.
you don't know what you're going to do until it happens to you. But I've never seen anything like that in my life.
That's crazy. Yeah. So, that's good to know. If there's ever a broken window, just get out.
Yeah, get out. Get out.
We'll look at this listing ever. Were they
get out unless you have your flea spray on.
Right? Were the clients still interested?
No. These weren't. We didn't even get that far. This was a listing. So this was a builder that wanted us to list the property.
So you just took a look around.
We took a look around and then got right back with him and said, "You've got some work to do." Yeah.
Yeah, that's a headache for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's crazy. And I think that was fun. I think having kind of those little, hearing someone else's story and then either sympathizing, empathizing, or like adding on or one-upping.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. I kind of like that. We should do that again for the next few episodes.
Yeah.
No matter who's on.
And so, and Jackson, I kind of want to end this with the fact that we 100% are there for our clients. We want to be there from beginning to end with our client.
Yep. And
even better than that, for new agents that are looking for positions, that are looking for a new job, that are looking for some mentorship, we've got some great opportunity right now. Yeah. And matter of fact, I would say this is probably the first time in my career that I feel like I'm short agents all the time. So, for the right people, we're going to have the right spots open. Yeah. And, we don't cut back on marketing. So, there's leads coming in all the time. Yeah. So I would say that that's going to be another podcast that we're going to talk about, but I kind of wanted to close with that. Yeah. Anyway, and also close with the fact that feedback. Yep. Anybody that's out there that knows us, that has followed us, whether you know me or not, give me some feedback. If you don't like my haircut, I'm fine with that too. Give me that feedback.
Get really bully us. Like if they're like I don't really like the shirt that Jackson's wearing, or
they better not cut your hair down though. I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. I'm kind of ashamed of it right now. It's all flying all over the place. Anyways, but yeah, that's a good way to take home. Like he'll be there for you. We're here to help you. And I think there's a lot of real estate agents that kind of forget about that you're there to help the client. It's not about you to make as much money as you can. It's about to really help people through. And I'll never forget when you said this, like to me, the first time we met, the most expensive thing they will ever buy in their life, most of the time, right? Like this is like one of the most important things they will ever have to buy or sell. And so you need to have that ability to be that way, to like to be there and to help those people and empathize with them.
100%.
And even if it comes down to jumping through windows or seeing broken glass, witnessing murders and crime scenes and flea infested sales, this guy and everyone else on our team will be there for you.
100%. Yes. Yeah. And so we're excited again to close this out. We're excited. This is our first figuring it out episode, and we'll grow from this.
Yeah.
But we're glad you've watched what you've watched, and hopefully we didn't bore you too much. And again, any feedback is greatly appreciated off number one.
Yep.
And anyway, I think we can close with that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll probably be talking about, just like I said, that those foundations of I took you guys through like what Jamie, what ChatGPT thought of the process. So we're gonna start next episode 2, picking up right where we left off, that first thing, and just getting really in depth with it. That is going to be our biggest thing. Getting pre-approved for a mortgage, sitting down with the team. That's going to be, I think we should talk about that, or either figuring out your budget. I think that'll be kind of the next big thing.
100%. So. And again, thank you for watching us today. This has been the Jamie Bechtold Group, and we'll see you again.